Now, Michael, you have about a 10-minute little talk I'm going to give, so this might be the opportunity. Are you ready to do that?
Sure, I hope so. I've got this paper up on my screen here, and I have to be able to.
Michael,
I don't know if it's really important.
Okay, Michael,
for me to see you.
Michael, come close to your screen because I can't hear you as well. You're too far. Try it now. Say something.
Okay.
Much better, Mike.
Should I turn off volume a little bit? I can do that.
Yeah, how's that? Say something.
Oh, is that better?
Yes. Everybody can hear Michael, okay?
Yeah.
All right, Michael, go ahead.
I can hear everybody else pretty well, too. Okay. I asked Nick if I could talk a little about something called quantum internet. It's pretty heavy-duty stuff. I was listening to Carrie Cassidy recently. She was interviewed by Laura Eisenhower. I don't know if you folks all are familiar with both of them. But
I am, and I did.
they're pretty prominent in the field of ETs, etc. And I want to start with Carrie because she talks about how this whole business of maybe a shutdown of the internet and the darkness people are talking about, on the surface of it, yes, it is an operation to take out child traffickers. But on a deeper level, it gets into the stuff that we have all been talking about related to 5G, new tech, and so forth while we stay at home. The taking out of the internet has to do with obviously resetting it and starting over. Erasing a lot of the content that is, maybe porn, getting rid of some of the spyware, getting rid of the corporate spying. The shutdown is a chance to overhaul the internet. And also there will be then a financial shutdown and reset. We are all components of an AI system. We have been, it's not news. The quantum internet is a part of it. For a little bit of mainstream media fill-in on this, I will remind you that Donald Trump recently had a high-level meeting with telecom CEOs. You can look that up. And recently, an executive order in which he established a committee on foreign participation in United States telecom system. Okay, you can look it up and make your own conclusions. Do you have anything for me, Nick?
No, go ahead. This is
okay. So then I want to move from Carrie to a young man who is identifying himself as a major player in our future intelligence community. You can think what you like of him. A lot of people don't like his manner, but they need to cut through it and listen to his information. His name is Austin Steinbart. He is on YouTube. He is sharing freely in interviews what he knows.
Mike, keep the volume up, please.
He has a 10-minute video called Quantum Internet.
Okay.
The day it came out, phys.org, the science publication, came out with a piece. Harvard and MIT researchers discover we can have a quantum internet, is essentially what it said. Well, coincidence much? Anyway, here is what Austin has to say. He says, we are headed towards our new system, which will be coming after the shutdown. I'm happy it didn't happen today, so we can have this talk. The internet new shutdown will be run not by Google and Facebook and those people, it will be run by the military, by the government of the United States. They will establish an internet bill of rights. The military has to control it because the social media companies do their own censorship. It will be rolling this out
Michael,
over
a
the
little
years.
louder, please, louder.
They will be rolling this out over the years. Now, you say, how nice, faster internet. Oh no. Austin says, this is much bigger than that, because he is also supposed to be in charge of the new Space Force, he said.
Oh boy.
He's a techie. He's a tech brain. He's been given a lot of access, and he's saying, but he often says, oh, I can't talk about that. There's an operation going on, or I'm not at liberty to yet. It will come out eventually. So he's not telling us everything. He can't. But the point of this new internet is not that we're going to have much better service a la 5G promises, is that we are going to have what amounts to ET intelligence. We will have wireless communication anywhere in the solar system. And not only will it be with other planets, it will be anywhere in time. So you can go back and see what you were like as a baby. You can go back and see what John F. Kennedy was thinking before he was allegedly killed, etc. We will have remote control of bodies that could be 100 light years away without any lag time whatsoever. We will wirelessly interface with brains, past, present, or future, direct connection to any brain at any point. It will be used to read your memories, thoughts, and feelings. And he says, so, if the wrong people control it, they could drive us around like little robots. But he notes, hey, it's already here. What do we see with Facebook? What do we see in our emails and our junk email and what they're sending us? What do we see with Google searches? How is it I go to Google News and it knows what I want to read about? It's already happening. The trouble is, he says, I don't think the CIA and Team Satan should control it. I think Team America and the Defense Intelligence Agency should control it. The stuff that has been going on is unspeakable, the evil corporations taking charge. And if we had not elected Donald Trump, remember this is his opinion, we would have lost all our freedoms and free will. The Space Force will take control of the quantum internet because, as he says, evil corporations don't give a rat's ass about our rights, our privacy. They're already stealing our data. They're already eavesdropping. And just think, now they could have direct access to your brain, read your private thoughts, beam as to your brain. That is why the situation had to be what it is. We needed to be rescued from the fanatic, satanic cabal. And he says, I know, military control, I hate it, it's ucky, but it's all we got left. These years since Kennedy, they took things over and stomped on it. We have apocalyptic capitalism, as he calls it.
Michael, fix your camera, please.
That is essentially all I have to say.
That's a lot to have to say. Wow, you're just blowing me away again. I've heard some of this, but some of it I have not. Let's go around. Doreen, do you have any, at this point, any questions or observations with what Michael just said?
No, I'm digesting it. I would like to hear what others have to say. I don't know a lot about it. So.
Michael, when you get a moment, after this is over, please email me the website or the YouTube that you're referring to so I can put it out for everybody, okay?
Yes, what I'll do is I'll send you the YouTube. I will send you the phys.org story on the quantum internet from Harvard and MIT researchers.
Right.
And I will also send you, I'll send you the link to the Carrie Cassidy interview and pretty much say where she starts talking about things. About 10, 15 minutes, and then she goes on to other very important things. That's a good interview, but, you know, the stuff you want to hear. And she uses the word quantum internet, and she's talking in terms of ETs too.
Okay. So you're going to email me all the videos that
Yes.
you have been referring to. Okay.
Yes,
Anthony,
you bet.
do you have anything you'd like to add to this conversation at this moment?
No, I'm, like Doreen, I'm digesting it. When I look at that, I started to bring that video up and, working with muting and unmuting. I'm gonna have to look at that and digest it a little bit more later.
The video.
What Michael is saying is total. I know some of the references he's doing, and Michael couldn't. No one could make up this stuff. This is cutting edge, and it's about as frightening. I hate to say it, but it is as frightening as it can get. Carol, do you have anything you'd like to come up with right now and add to this?
Oh, I'd just like to thank Michael for this. I've been reading a lot lately.
You're welcome.
A lot of conspiracy theories lately, and some of them just don't make sense. But this really makes sense about the internet shutdown and why it might happen. Everybody seems a little frightened about it happening, but I think it makes a lot of sense to get rid of the groups that want to censor what we hear. Thank you.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Thank you, Carol. Absolutely right on that. Rena, you're coming from a very different point of view here. Please add some comments, if you will, and talk up so we can hear you loud.
I thought it was really interesting. I have to do some more research about it before I come to an opinion of my own.
Okay.
But I thought it was very interesting what Michael had to say.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Jim, do you have any comments here?
Can you hear me?
Jim, I can't hear you.
Yeah, hear me?
Jim, something's wrong here. We can't hear you.
I can hear
Oh,
you.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, cool. I would say, I guess it makes sense that the military, if this is true, that the military would retake over the internet since they pretty much created it in the first place.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if you saw like small mini internets start to pop up. Something like that has sort of started to happen in certain parts of Brooklyn. They were trying to do that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that, there's no way they can completely shut down the internet, because it is, unless they do have connection into every single major ISP and every level 1 communication center. So it'd definitely be restricted, but I don't believe it's possible at this point to shut it down 100%. There'll always be some underground network internet.
We hope so.
I have a short comment on that. Yes, Simon Parks, who I watch, and I haven't seen his Today's Report, and I want to, said, I think the internet shutdown is really just going to be like back in 2003. Remember when we had dial-up and it was really, really, really slow? That's what it's going to be like, he said. That's kind of funny. I love the idea of, oh yeah, dial-up. And then you won't be able to stream movies. You won't be able to, you may be able to do email. That's what he described.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sonia, let's hear from you. So, Sonia, you got to unmute. You got to unmute. Look over on the bottom left, and you're going to see that.
Okay, hi. Can you hear me now?
Yes, and speak
Okay.
loudly, please, and go very close to your screen so we can hear you even better.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I'm listening. I'm taking it all in. Yeah.
Jim, I'm having a real bad problem with the volume on just about everybody. Is there anything that could be done?
That might be on your end. Is anybody else having a problem hearing?
I hear
No, not at all.
No. All right.
Not at all.
I went to my.
Yeah, I think that's on you. You should invest. I would invest in like a
My
nice
volume is on
USB headset.
100%, Jim. All right. Anyhow, let's move along. But Robert, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yes, I have a little different mindset than most. I think along the lines of a scientist, and you have to show me evidence. Okay. So I don't believe unless I can see the evidence of what's happening. So this is just the latest of a number of different conspiracy theories, and conspiracy theories are natural and normal, and they're expected, But I've seen so many. I've seen one after another that have never come true. We had one with Planet X was going to come and upset our gravitational forces, and that never happened. And then Stephen Greer, more recently, let's say a year ago, he said we would have this false flag operation where the U.S. government would start to show us these UFO invasions, and that never happened. You have like Dave Wilcox, Corey Good, and their space fleets, and all of these things are happening, and they never happened. And the shutdown of the internet, it's a normal conspiracy theory. People would create stuff. People, after all, make a living by creating conspiracy theories, and they earn money that way. And until somebody can show me evidence, I'm going to just disregard it all. And so
you're being cautious, and I think that caution is a good thing, but we always have to keep an open mind also. So I get what you're saying. Catherine, do you want to talk now about, you got to unmute your computer. I see it's muted right now. There you go. Please go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Good to be here. I unfortunately not in here in the beginning, so I didn't hear most of what, is it Jim or what is your name?
Michael.
Michael. I didn't hear most of what Michael was saying, but I will look at it when you send it to us through the email and check it out. But
right, and we can also, once Michael gives me that and I post it on our Google's group, we can also back and forth talk about that subject from the post. We can add anything you want to. So that's another way to communicate until we do our next Zoom meeting in a couple of weeks. Okay, Thomas, if you will take it away, what are your thoughts and feelings on this?
Well, I am very interested in the nitty-gritty, if it's available anywhere, about two particular things. The one that said that you can communicate with any being anywhere in the universe, even that's hundreds of light years away, without any delay. I would be very interested to know how they do that. And the other one is being able to tap into your thoughts. If you're the one they're tapping into and you're not touching anything, you're not touching your head, connected to some screen or some wire or some, connector of any kind, how do they do it? And then and obviously if they do it, if they really do receive your brain waves, obviously whatever the, for lack of a better term, language, quote unquote, is that your brain waves are in, how do they interpret that into pictures and words and meaning and thoughts and all that kind of stuff? I certainly have never heard of anything like this so far, and I would simply want to read all the posts and watch all the videos and try to learn about how they do all this stuff. I'm fascinated by it. I would have thought that we don't have the technology to do this yet anywhere, but I hold an open mind. Maybe we do. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, absolutely, Thomas. I totally get what you're saying, and you're right. And more research, I know some of those technologies are in play. I certainly know that from what Michael has said and my own experience. But yeah, now someone is sitting right beside me, and I'm going to ask him if he would have some comments. Do you have any comments, Hal?
Yeah, I have one basic comment. Historically, when the military gets control of the information stream, or when the central federal government gets control of the information stream, it becomes a highly censored operation. What makes you think this would be any different?
Oh, okay. All right. And I totally get what you're saying. And of course, the top secret is top secret. It can sometimes spill out, as we thank God that sometimes we have got information, but
No,
you're
that's
right.
not what I mean.
No, I know. Okay.
What I'm talking about is, again, historically, whenever a military takes over the information stream, it's not just top secret documents going in and out. It's just communication, basic communication, radio, TV, whatever, gets controlled by the military, and it's what they want you to hear. What's to prevent that from happening if the military takes over our communication streams?
It's already happening. Only the corporations are doing it.
If you want to do some
The
comments,
corporations are doing it.
you've
The
had
mainstream
some
media is doing it.
from everybody here. Do you want to just follow up now with some final thoughts before we move on to another subject? Next few minutes. Do you have anything else you want to talk about, Mike, as far as comments about what the comments were?
Not really. There was a good quote, and I got sidetracked because I'm getting occasional texts from people on various matters. Apparently, Bill Gates was just interviewed on The Daily Show, and The Daily Show host absolutely tore him a new a-hole. So that'd be kind of fun to watch.
Wow.
Saying like, "Who are you, Bill Gates, to tell us this crap?" That kind of thing. It's like,
I'd love to see that.
Pal.
If you find that, Michael, please email me so I can get it to everybody. That I would like to see. My comments are going to be now about Bill Gates and what's his name? The other one that's going to put all the satellites up in the sky.
Elon Musk.
Right.
Elon Musk. Nick Doreen would like to speak. Nick Doreen would like to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry, Doreen. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was thinking about what Mike said,
Right.
and I'm not connecting yet. So if the military takes over the internet and they're in cahoots with some ETs out there or whatever, what is the ultimate goal? And it's not to read your mind, but what is, it's always somebody benefits and somebody loses. What's the benefit out there, the advantage for them to be able to have access to all of us? Are they evil? Are they good? I'm not quite understanding yet the reasoning.
I understand. Can I take it?
Yeah.
Oh, I understand what you're saying, but this is where Austin is quite sanguine. He says, look, it's already going on. All the stuff, what if the military does this? The corporations are already doing it. They're doing it. They have access to this, and if we keep things the way they are, they will continue to have access. We have a corporatocracy. The corporations and government in bed with one another. Hello, that's been going on a long time. Of course, the government is also totally tied up in the pedophile industry, but that's a whole other industry. The point is that the military that is coming forward with this is saying, we want to make things different. And what Austin said is, there is going to be an Internet Bill of Rights. You will not be allowed to do X, Y, Z. If you don't, you will be breaking the law. The military or an agency will oversee that. I don't know how it's going to work. I can't predict the future. But I will say that my comment was, hang on a minute, about conspiracy that I read that somebody else talked about related to Ghislaine Maxwell and all the business related to Epstein. He just said, hang on. He said, conspiracy isn't a theory, it's a crime.
Wow.
Correct. Marcy Gordon, if she were here, would tell you every state in the union, their number one crime is conspiracy. Everyone.
Well, there's a thought. I want to go from here, if you will. And has anybody seen the very latest David Icke that I posted and said this is very, very important? Has anybody, show of hands, has anybody seen that yet? No?
Talking about the
Maureen has. Maureen, no? Okay. Anthony, you got to take a look at this. It's about 90 minutes. Get comfortable, get some food and some drink, and get real comfortable because what David Icke is doing now, I think, is he is at the top of his game. And what he is putting out on this video at 2:30 this morning, I was up watching it. Now, Doreen, you tell me what you think about it before I get into that.
Well, is this the guy that spoke about, what did he say? Oh gosh, about, was it Elon Musk? I mean, there was a lot. Yeah. And what's going on? Well, I have to take it with a grain of salt. I mean, he sounds legitimate, but I'm not comfortable. I listened quickly. I didn't listen to the whole thing.
About 2 years ago, I did a program about chemtrails because the more I found out, the more alarmed I was. And I contacted some people, including people from the city council. I actually saw a couple face to face. And when I mentioned chemtrails in our skies, I said, we have dozens of photographs in Yorkville, where I live, and other places like Harlem, of every day it was going on, crisscrossing, and it was not vapor trails, because vapor trails go away in 4 or 5 minutes. This was up there all day, and there maybe were like 20 of them crisscrossing at one point. That's how bad it was. And nobody looked at me and said, I know about it. Not one, nobody. I couldn't believe it. What is a chemtrail? Well, I tried to tell them. I don't believe that they don't know it. I think it's a huge, who gave anybody permission to go into our skies and release nanoparticles and all kinds of other things that are, nothing is good for life, nothing that they're releasing, and it's going into our plants, our animals, our food, and us. And that's a fact. And I was this was 2 years ago when I did that. I even put up some things on our website about that. Anyhow, bottom line, put that together with what's going on now, this lockdown. And David Icke said this is a total scam, and proved it with all his research. Includes deep studies of how the name of the virus came to be and who was behind it. You got to look at this because it's cutting edge. And the bottom line is that, how would that relate to 5G, which is, again, a huge subject that is, people are going, well, we're going to have faster ways to download movies. I mean, I'm hearing things like that. I'm saying, but by the way, do you want to live to see the movie? What do you mean? Because cancer and huge amounts of hurtful materials that are getting into your system will kill or hurt you or give you cancer. And that's a fact. And again, people do not understand it because they're accepting the what all the big power companies are putting out there. You're going to have 5G. Say hello, hooray! And I went to a movie. It's all over the screens as ads. All the TV stations have all the wonderful things about 5G. They even had people from supposedly from a fire department. One of the heads of the whole fire department were talking about it. And then I went over to my fire department and I said, I named the people and the organization, and they said, we have not endorsed that at all. No, what you are saying is news to us and very disturbing, very disturbing. We haven't done that. By the way, the fire department has, I think, 12 people, 9 or 10 people pictured outside the fire department on East 85th Street that all died in the 9/11. And every time I go past that, I see these great guys. And the fact that they are not here because of what was going on in 9/11. So it's just, again, lies, lies, lies. And this is the biggest one of all. David Icke has nailed it. I just a couple hours ago emailed that David Icke interview to everybody in the Urantia community from Sacramento, the one you know, that one, because I felt as though somebody else was on that subject. And you got to know about what's going on with David Icke. And so I just emailed that, and I asked them to email if they feel as though it's important to everybody that they know, and ask everybody else to email it again. It's on our Google's group. If you haven't seen it yet, it's in big red letters. This is really important. It's the David Icke interview. So anyhow, I highly recommend that. I got to go to another subject before it's too late, but I wanted to talk about what we've been hearing about the the story about the abused children in the tunnels of New York City. And what in the world is going on with that? Now, they're talking about taking abused children that have malnourished, totally zombies in some cases because of their bad treatment. And it's the pedophiles that are running this caged thing going on under Central Park in those tunnels. Now, they haven't produced one single. Now, you correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't seen one photograph. And they say they're loading some of these people, these children, into the tents in Central Park, as well as the big ship, the hospital ship that is docked here in Manhattan. Now, does anybody have any input on that? Because I would love to know more.
Yes, this is Bob. May I speak on that conspiracy theory?
Oh, please, Bob, go right ahead.
We heard a similar one 3 years ago with Pizzagate, and Hillary Clinton was supposedly in charge of this child molestation ring, in which they had the children in the basement of this restaurant in Washington, D.C. And when the actual investigative reporters in conventional news investigated it, they gave us the truth, which is that restaurant didn't even have a basement. There was no basement full of children in cages, and there was no reality to that story. And I would speculate that this new one is exactly the same as the old, and when the investigations are finally done, you won't have any, it'll be just a conspiracy theory. And just getting back to the one other subject, the new, what's it called, the level 5 what's it called again?
The G5.
G5, yes. We need to maybe think about the risks of the G5 in comparison to, let's say, what's going on with the virus. The studies have shown that we're looking at, between 100 and 200,000 dead in the U.S. That's their best guess. And if there was no social distancing, the estimates were 1 to 2 million. Now, can you try to estimate the number of deaths of the people who might get exposed to these extra EMF signals as a result of 5G? Okay. I don't think it's going to be 2 million people who are going to die from 5G if it comes in. So, maybe we should, try to talk more about the coronavirus and a real killer of people rather than one that, in theory, could kill a handful of people, but not 2 million.
Okay, well, Michael, I'm going to call on you for some of the answers to this because you've been doing such a deep research on this. And also, please, like I said, you got to, because a lot of these answers are in the David Icke recent video that I just posted. And that is going to answer some of those questions. They're good questions, but David Icke has come up with research and numbers. And you must see this, absolutely must see this. It will answer some of your questions. Okay, Michael, please take it.
Not sure I can. I would just tell the gentleman to turn off his television.
Well, that's always a good idea, right? In other words, you're not missing a whole lot. In fact, silence.
Mostly manufactured stuff and things that are being told to scare you or to make you feel certain ways and to provoke you. Then we show footage on the internet saying, look, they copied this hospital room from Italy. They said it was a hospital room in New York. Look at what CBS did. Yeah, it's out there. Find it. Then there's all sorts of people who worked in 5G, who were heads of companies coming out and saying, it's a bad idea. Oh, are you going to hear that in the mainstream news? Nope, you won't. It'll all just be dismissed very casually.
I don't know what's going on, Michael, but you're just breaking up a lot. Michael, I can't even hear you now. Can everybody hear what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. Michael, okay. Is that what you want to say any more about this, Michael?
Funny.
Mike, I can't hear you, Mike.
I know my internet suddenly became unstable.
Wonder if somebody was listening that wants to pull your plug.
Could be.
It could be. It could be. Absolutely. I was talking the other night with someone who is very knowledgeable and has huge connections, and my phone all of a sudden did things it never has done before. It totally turns itself off. Never happened before. And when I finally got him, he said, Nick, we were being monitored. I know it. So anyhow, Doreen, go ahead.
Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein were a conspiracy once.
Okay. Doreen?
We know who they are.
Yes, of course. So you're looking at the 5G. Now, and it's all over the planet, and we'll all be affected by it. So do you think the people that are putting this in and the companies that are benefiting, whether it's Elon, they have families, they have relatives, they have friends. The whole planet is going to be affected by it. Electromagnetic fields, and many perhaps will die or get cancer. As they said historically, anytime they up the decimals, that's what happened. Don't you think that it doesn't discriminate? It's like a virus, the same thing. It could affect them as well.
I have an answer for you, and this will be not for everybody you're mentioning. It's an excellent question. Believe me, I thought of that many times. But part of that answer I can tell you now. There are huge cities underground. One of them I know has 5,000, can hold 5,000 people for, I believe, 25 years with food and air and water and everything. There are, I forgot the number, but I couldn't even get my head around how many places like that. And people who have been there have even said it's like staying in a 5-star hotel. That's the quality. And who are they for? The elite. It's the people, the higher ups, the trillionaires, the billionaires, some political people who've done favors. They're the ones that are, we're not going. And why is it so underground? For what you just said, because they're trying to escape the hell that they think may happen. And there's been a lot of reports lately, and you can bear me out on this, that a lot of those people are going to those places or moving there. South America is one example, and there's places in Switzerland and even the United States where there's tunnels, and they said that there's even express transport from underground city to underground city. And do I believe that? Absolutely I do. I think it's been there a long time. So part of the answer is they're not going to be here now, but it's not happening. In some cases, they're there already. And they said also there's people who've been hiding, and that's where they're hiding, in these places. Do I think that even Epstein might possibly be in a place like that and that he's not even dead? I think it's a possibility. I really do. It would not surprise me at all. Anybody wants to comment on this?
Sure, absolutely.
Yes, Carol. Carol, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it's true. They're underground tunnels. My company was going to bid on supplying some of them. There's that underground city facility. I think it's in Virginia.
Okay.
It's opened up as a museum now. It was set up originally to have a nuclear war.
Yes.
So I know that is true. And it's not impossible to believe that the very wealthy don't have such facilities somewhere. Although I don't believe Epstein is alive. I think he was murdered, but that's me.
Okay. All right. We'll never probably know the answer to that, but that's one of those questions. Michael, yeah.
I would say there's probably, I gather, about 240, 280 underground bunkers around the country. There have been military operations going on. There's evidence of the Army says they have trained 750,000 troops to go into underground places and fight.
I saw that.
Why would they do that? Also, earthquakes. Every time you see some earthquake has happened, it's suspicious. It's not really what you think it is.
And some of those places have never had an earthquake. Michael, some of those places have never had an earthquake ever.
Idaho.
right?
Idaho. There's no earthquakes in Idaho. Upstate New York. We have them. What? Glen Falls?
Also, I got something else in the reference to that. I just wanted to run by you guys. We can maybe check this out, but I had something on the internet that said that Bloomberg did a press conference in one of the gigantic tunnels underneath Central Park when he was mayor. Now, Epstein and Bloomberg and a lot of the others are living within like 5-minute walk of Central Park East. So, and these tunnels are certainly in that area. And I always thought, and this is something I don't know, but if I had to make a bet, the Metropolitan Museum of Art has an underground huge parking facility. And if you ask me, that is the perfect place to have a secret place where you can take your limo or your driver can go in there and access a special door and go into these tunnels. And I would bet money that exists. That's only my take on it, but I just have this feeling in my gut that that's where one of the entrances is, for what it's worth. There you go. But that's just and talking about people being held in the tunnels, again, I don't know if that's totally true or not.
Hey, Nick, I think the Natural History Museum also has an underground parking garage as well.
Which one, please?
Natural History Museum on
Yes,
West.
that's right. Oh, you're right. And that would be another natural place where you wouldn't suspect anything, right?
Right, and that's a lot of scientists, a lot of researchers from there. So who knows?
No, that's Jim. That's a great point you have there, and that would be another place I would bet you.
In Arkansas.
Bob, can I speak a bit about the 5G and
please do. Go ahead.
Okay, so you have these corporate executives who are running all these communication companies. They're making their fortune out of building this new 5G network. Now, we do know that there are these underground facilities where the elite can go in an emergency and they'll be taken care of. They'll have their luxuries, their food and everything. We're left out. But
Right.
But the question that our colleague made tonight, saying that what about these communication executives' families who are exposed to the 5G EMF signals? Those children are all going to be hit with the signals unless they're down in those tunnels.
Well, and okay, so let me address that part of it. Hang on a second. Let me address what you're saying right now. First of all, there's clothing. There's wallpaper, there's things you can cover with your windows with that won't let 5G in. Okay, I don't know if you know that, but there's a whole bunch of products to guard against 5G. Let me finish. Do you think that I think that those people have all those products? I do. Another part of that is that they're being protected that way for sure. Okay, so that's part of the answer. And again, those tunnels will guard against 5G. Now, I want to go one more thing about 5G. The inoculations, the nanoparticles that we probably all have, at little bits maybe, but we all do. And what's coming with the 5G, if you turn up microwave technology, which is 5G, it was originally weaponry, still is, what happens to the nanoparticles in your body? It can control you. It's like blackmail. The more you turn up the signal, they can make you hurt, they can kill you. Do you understand that there's a very big connection? And this is what David Icke is going into. That's why I want you to watch the video. David Icke is saying that's the plan. You got Bill Gates, all the inoculations. You've got the other guy setting up, 400 satellites that are going to make 5G worldwide, that there's no place you can go that you won't be able to be affected by 5G. Do you understand what they're talking about? Control. That's the whole deal. This is what David Icke put together and is talking about. That's why this is so important. And he said, guys, you can't escape it. It's coming. We got to wake up and we got to do something now. It's an incredible video because he's put it together. And please, before you go on, look at the video because that's going to answer a lot of your questions. Okay, does anybody else want to do a different subject now? Rena, go ahead. Loud.
I just wanted to say that there's a video that on YouTube that you can get that shows this truck driver going into an underground facility in Arkansas.
Yeah,
and if you watch the whole thing, he drives for miles and miles and miles, and there's all these trucks, all these Walmart trucks. They're preparing for underground living.
Rena, it's been going on. You're absolutely right, and you can find that online. I've seen that video. In fact, if you remember, before the truck driver goes in with this huge truck into the tunnel, this incredible guy with a camera and a mic says, "Can I talk to you? And hi, where are you going and what is it like?" And then the driver is opening up, talking about driving, hundreds of miles in these tunnels, right?
Yeah. He drives for half an hour. The video is like 20 minutes long or 30 minutes long, and he's driving,
right?
Past all.
Also saying that he's going from state to state. That's how complex and how long this is, and it exists right now. I know if you also look on the internet, you can see 8-story and 10-story drilling these huge round discs made of what kind of metal it would be, that would be drilling through the earth like it was jello and making these tunnels really quickly. That they also said that there's a nuclear device where they can melt the rock and it becomes glass.
I've heard of that.
Glass on the sides of the tunnels. That's how far the technology has been going on. It's been going on for years. Right?
Yeah, they've had that for years. And
you know what's funny is that when they were doing the Q new subway lines here in Manhattan, and it's only a block away from me, and I was hearing and even feeling blasts going on when they were putting that tunnel in. Right, it's all finished now. And I was thinking, why don't they use the big technology, which is going to just melt those rocks away? They're old-fashioned using blasting, but I guess the answer to that is they'd have to bring
top secret.
People would see it, right? And then the question would be, what else is it for? That's fine.
This is Bob. You think I can talk a little bit about these EMF?
Well, Bob, you've had a lot of chance on this. Let me go to some other people now. I want to ask Anthony. Anthony, are there any other issues at the moment that you want to just take a quick look at?
I'm not really. I mean, I want to watch that David Icke video fully, and the nanoparticle part that you just mentioned is highly intriguing to me. I mean, I do absolutely have fears about the coronavirus vaccination being a requirement, and then how are we going to say no? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe you want to talk about that. Like, how do you foresee the end of the coronavirus and the beginning of the vaccinations, and then what next?
Well, Anthony, I wowould like you, once you see that video, you have my phone number. I really would like to get your take on after you see that video, whenever it is, call me. Because I'd really like to hear your comments on what that 90 minutes, the David Icke interview that just happened. Okay. And that goes for everybody too. Let me know personally. I would like to know that. Okay. How it hits you. Because I was on the edge of my chair. And also, a couple of years ago, I did a website called Wake Up, Fight Back. It was a website, wakeupfightback.info. I believe it was info at the end of that. And that was up for a couple of years. I recently, because I had to pay more money, so I recently took it down, but I still own the rights to putting it back up again. And one of the subjects, like 2 or 3 years ago, was chemtrails, as one of the 40 items listing that we have to watch carefully. And I'm very proud of that. I have that list, and I'm going to put it out again because everything on that list is playing right now. playing right now. And this latest lockdown, this is it. I think this is the thing that's a lot of people are going to wake up, because this can't go on for another month or so. It can't. People are going to bolt.
By the way, with
business
chemtrails,
community, the people who can't pay the rent this month, let alone in the future, it goes on and on.
That's for
and this
sure.
is and they're realizing that this is happening now to all of us worldwide. I got one more comment, and then I'll go around one more time before we leave, and that is, there's been a tremendous amount of spiritual awakening going on. Doreen, I'm sure you're aware of this, especially, and others here. Incredible videos, people joining hands, all countries as brothers and sisters. I've seen more love put out on the internet in the last 2 weeks than I've ever had. Excuse me, before. And Michael, you've even sent me, and I've sent you some of that stuff too.
Yes.
And it's a joy, and it's a hope. It's a hopeful thing to see that. Any other comments before we go? We're up to the hour, and I want to. This is being recorded, so I just want to end this now. Any final thoughts? Any quick thoughts that anybody has? Michael.
Oh gosh. I would just say.
Excuse me.
Yeah, briefly on just the chemtrails, I would say that is part of the plan, that they did want to drop nanoparticles and certain things in us to alter our genetic makeup and to prepare us. And so essentially a lot of us, because of that, have been, shall we say, pre-vaccined. This is part of the stuff that's in there is providing what they want to connect us in this way. Now, I'm not saying this is good. This is just what has happened. They've already done it. And children are all being mandatory vaxxed all over the place. They've already been taken care of. So it'll just be up to the rest of us a year or so to be told, well, are you going to go get vaxxed and be connected with us, or are you going to turn it down? And I hope we will have some degree of free will to say no.
Florida has just passed a law that says you have to be vaccinated. Hello? And what the hell is in the vaccine that they're putting in? Now, 5G is being thrown at us, shoving it down our throats. Why? Because 5G activates what's in the vaccine. And David Icke has a lot of research, deep research, proving that. Well, can you imagine if everybody was, if they come out and say, you can't get your Social Security check, you can't get on a plane, you can't get money from whatever the bank or whatever money's going to be like, unless you get vaccinated and have proof of it, you won't be able to do anything. You see how they're going to make it mandatory. Also, I got to go one more thing here. David Icke, in his interview, talks to an ex-CIA agent about what happened to him to make him be a puppet, total puppet to the evil forces in the CIA. And that is on video on the David Icke interview. It's near the end of it. Don't miss it. It's incredible. Okay, that had my say. Doreen, any final thoughts? You're muted. Okay.
Oh, well, I wanted to ask the question where they said they have communities and bases on Mars, Moon. You know, there are outer space, I guess, areas. I forgot what you call it, but even science has, the astronomers have discovered it.
No.
What do you know about that?
There's a lot on the internet. I'll put some things out that you can see and read. And not just Moon, but Mars, yes. And it's been going on for a long, long time. And also, there's an article about Russia who has armed missiles. And here's the reasoning. If it's from the moon on wherever they want to totally annihilate whatever city they want, you can't easily trace that. You can trace it if it's going from a particular country to another country. There's lots of ways of tracing it. But from the moon straight to the place, there's no way to identify it. Therefore, a country that launches from the moon nuclear missiles that do damage, it can't easily be found who did it. Think of that. That is, again, here we go. That's one of the things. I'm going to send you a few things about that, Doreen. Good question. Anthony, anything? I'm sorry. Anything else, Anthony? Before we go.
I was just going to ask about whether or not you knew about protection against chemtrails.
I can't hear Anthony. I'm sorry. Well, again,
I'm unmuted, aren't I? I was just going to ask whether or not you knew anything about chemtrail protection. Yeah, whatever damage has already been done, got it. But like 5G, like shungite and some materials like that, is there anything equivalent for chemtrails?
Yes, and we have a list from a laboratory of what's in the chemtrails. A list of the scary particles, not only nano, but other things that cause disease. Right. And anyhow, there's a whole list of that, and I have a huge file on that, and I will send that to you.
Okay.
Sure, absolutely. Within today, I'll send it to you. Carol, any final thoughts here? No, all right, okay. And Rena, any quick thoughts?
No, it's been interesting.
Okay, it was a really good hour. I'm thrilled that we did this. Again, first time we ever did a Zoom meeting. Next week, of course, on Sunday is Easter. So we'll be meeting the following Sunday again at 2 o'clock, our normal time. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask everybody. I mean, why do we have to stop now? I mean, we've got plenty of time. But I have a question for everybody. I'm just curious what their thoughts are on the coronavirus. It's as bad as they say it is. What are you guys doing to keep your immune system boosted, or any other thoughts on that? Can we go around and discuss that?
Okay, I'll start. I even posted that I have a super super C vitamin with rose hips that I get at a really good sale too at Puritan Pride, which is a wonderful vitamin shop on the internet. And if you buy 2 bottles, you get 3 for free, something like that. And Puritan Pride on the internet is a great place to get vitamin C. Also, I posted, I don't know if anybody saw it, the new those lights that you can buy for $30, and you can pass it by anything you want to get sterilized, including viruses and germs, fruit, your food from the store, your countertops, your cell phone, everything you want to wipe clean. And with that UV light, it will do it. And it's $30, and it's on Amazon for one. And I posted that on one of our, maybe about 5 or 6 days ago, on our Google group. So take a look at that. There's also a picture of it. And I've got a couple of reviews that said it works. So for $30, that's a pretty good deal, just for protection. So that's my take. Anybody wants to chime in?
Yeah.
Okay, Carol.
I think it is very serious. I have friends who are nurses and caregivers, and they are, one person at NYU Hospital said he had never seen so many people die in his career. That was one thing he said. My friend lives near Elmhurst Hospital. It's pretty bad. That's the epicenter, and it's pretty bad there. I'm in another group, a Richard Dolan group, and one of the members there, we had a Zoom meeting about 3 weeks ago, and he's a doctor at Montefiore Hospital, and he was preparing to take his children to DC and come back, and he was getting ready to be involved in taking care of the coronavirus victims. He said he was being trained on ventilators, 2 ventilators. He could take care of, I'm sorry, I'm not saying it right. 1 ventilator for 2 patients. They're setting up tents. They were all ready for this influx. And he said the epicenter, the worst period would be from mid-April to the end of April, which is exactly what seems to be happening now. My company also, I work remotely from home now, they get advisories from the government ahead of time. So they were preparing us slowly for this. Now they're talking about reopening business at the end of April. I don't know if that's going to happen. There were 2 cases in my New York office, not near me, but they were taking care of this beforehand. So I do think it's real. It's not a hoax. How it spread, I happen to think it's a bioweapon myself, and because I had been watching I watch the news all the time, and during, I think it was Davos, the Chinese officials were there, and they said absolutely nothing, and this was going on beforehand. So that's my say.
Okay, Carol, thank you for that. And don't forget the David Icke video that will answer some of your questions. Tom, do you have any comments here?
Well,
before we go?
Yes, I have 2.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, the first one is that if anybody listening has not prepared a will, I think that this is an excellent motivation, to do it. I just prepared one, a few days ago. And, I don't think anybody wants to get the virus and die from it and then have the state take over all of their assets and that kind of thing, gobble it all up. It should be allocated to your friends and your relatives and all that kind of thing. Okay.
That's an excellent point, and no one has mentioned that yet, but that's an excellent point. Thank you. Now you had a second.
Yeah, well, okay, continuing about the will, I'm going to try to find out when like all these people that are dying, and they have the bodies in those refrigerated trucks. What if you have arrangements with a cemetery to be buried, or to be cremated or something, and they can't and you paid a lot of money for that, and they can't find your body anywhere? What are the hospitals doing with those bodies? Are they just turning them over to the police? How will, you spend all that money to have all that stuff done, and then maybe it can't be done because they can't find the body. I'm going to try to find out about that if I can. Okay, but the other one...
Please. Go ahead.
The other one that I wanted to just sort of say to everyone is that consider that your thoughts and emotions have an effect on your body, even on your immune system. If you think about fear and hatred and anger and lust and greed and all that kind of stuff, that can actually compromise your immune system and make you more likely to get the virus or to die from it, instead of just having mild symptoms. So, all of this stuff that we talk about, the 5G and the secret places where the ultra rich go, and we're supposed to be, I shouldn't say supposed to be, but maybe if anybody is getting angry about that, frustrated, full of resentment, that kind of thing probably, there are many, many, many people who say this, that kind of thing probably does damage to your own body. And of course, your own soul and your own mind and, and all that kind of thing. So, of course, you can't ignore it. Of course, you have to have it in mind. It's like that what they had in that Sinbad the Sailor movie, where the man says to Sinbad, trust in Allah, but tie up your girdle. Of course you have to do that. But my advice would be for everyone to just consider that these kinds of negative thoughts, dwelling on them, could possibly do damage to your own self. And that's all. Thank you.
This is Bob. I'd like.
Give me a second, please. Give me a second, please. Hold on, please. Tom, I want to answer you there. Last night, I did a 1-hour interview on my podcast live with Andrew Tang. Do you remember that he lectured about a month ago?
Yes.
He gave an incredible state-of-the-art interview where he's talking about exactly what you are focusing on right now, and I urge you to see it. You can go to my Facebook, Nick Curto, and you go to the Facebook, and they have all my interviews there. And the last one, which was last night, from Andrew Tang, and Andrew went into this in depth. And what you're saying is exactly right, but he gives a lot more technical and other research answers in depth. So please take a look at that, okay?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Bob. I have some health suggestions. Can I talk a little bit about how
Well, Robert was.
suggestions have been cutting me off, not letting me get all.
Stop, please. Stop. Robert, is Robert still here?
Yes, and I have health suggestions on how to help the people who are on this call regarding the coronavirus. I would just like to talk a few minutes to try to help my friends get through this. Can I have the floor for a few minutes?
2 minutes, yes.
Okay, fine. So first of all, you should increase your vitamin regimen. You should be taking multiple vitamins. You should have a more balanced diet. Try to get your fruits and vegetables and your balance in. Keep up your resistance, so if you get the infection, you can fight through it. Regarding surgical masks, we were told initially not to wear them because you're taking away the supply from the healthcare providers who need them, especially the N95 mask. But
Right.
But in the last 3 days, during the Trump press conferences, which I'm sure most of you don't care for him or his propaganda, but he does
keep going.
Good information around 5 p.m. every day if you turn on the news and listen to his 1 hour press conference, and you'll learn about 3 days ago they changed the guideline. We should cover our faces when we're outside because not only can someone cough on you, but just speaking within less than 6 feet, the droplets can be inhaled and
you're almost at the end of the 2 minutes. Anything else, please?
Yes. Swallowing food. If you have a tomato that somebody has coughed on the skin of a tomato, and you let's say you just wash it in your sink and you ingest the virus, you cannot get it through your digestive system because it only goes in through your respiratory system, through your nose, mouth, or eyes.
Okay,
and so
got it.
if it's in your mouth and you swallow that,
Right. Got it. Okay, thank you.
So you've not given me a fair chance to talk to this group. That's fine. I don't have to talk. I'll let you take over.
Don't fight me anymore. Do not fight me on this, please. You're being rude when you do that to me. Don't do it. Okay, I want to thank everybody for taking part in this first Zoom. Thank you all for being courteous and for being helpful and for talking to the point on what you're saying and not going on and on, because we don't want to do that, especially during a Zoom meeting. So I just appreciate that you followed all the guidelines that I put out of how to do a Zoom meeting. That's very important. And we're going to do another one in a couple weeks. We're going to get all the information, including the password and everything, in a couple weeks. I just want to thank you all. And for all our listeners that are out there, I want you to stay safe, be healthy, and be kind to one another. This is Nick Curto for Disclosure Network New York, saying goodbye for now. Be safe. Good night.